Code, and he's just recently released a new book on Masons, as you know. And the whole premise of his story is to take historic truth and to do very twisted things with them. I believe we have possibly done the very The dialogue that you will hear in this presentation are from written things by the various characters that you will hear. Many of you may not know of a new book by David Roberts called The Pueblo Revolt. And I would want you to be aware of the book because he has some very unusual things to say, such as he goes to the Zuni Pueblo and gets a hold of a guide, and she says, "We can't go there. It's culturally sensitive." So he says, "We hopped in my rental car and went there." Tony Hillerman in The Thief of Time says, an anthropologist, "You translate the word from academic into English, and that's what it means. Ruins looter, one who robs, a well-educated person who steals artifacts in a dignified manner."
Archaeologist. He's an anthropologist.
Back to David Roberts in this 2007 or 8 book, The Pueblo Revolt. He says, at the time of Coronado's landmark entrada into the Southwest in 1540, every Zia and Jemez man knew how to flake and chip formless lumps of chert and obsidian into sleek points. Gradually, however, during the decades after the Spanish conquest of New Mexico in 1598 under Don Juan de Oñate, the Puebloans lost the art of arrowhead making.
Wrong.
It is that story that we bring you tonight. The characters in our story is Ramona Varela Jaramillo, daughter of the owner of the Old Swamp Inn. This is all from historical fact. Alessandro, Indian lover of Ramona from a nearby village. Senor Varela Jaramillo, owner and chef maitre d' at the restaurant, the Old Swamp Inn. Senora Varela Jaramillo, wife of the owner of the Old Swamp Inn. Myra, the wise old woman. David, the traveler. And Marianne, a student. And here is our story.
I think I should do this.
Here is our story. The newcomers moved their trowels and pails and began digging into the adobe melt at LA 20,000. Suddenly, face flushed, the pseudo-anthropologist archaeologist picked up the arrowhead he found laying at the bottom of the pit. The first of its kind, an arrowhead at a Spanish hacienda. Victory! The arrowhead lost for over 400 years had been retrieved. Senor Varela Jaramillo sat by the door of the hacienda. Senora Varela Jaramillo was touching up her makeup. She applied a thick coat of flour paste from her forehead to her chin, adding a tad of powdered chalk. Then, to add bloom to her cheeks, she added a smidgen of cattle blood. She was the blooming rose of southwestern beauty. A knock on the selenite window startled the couple. A student was passing through.
Hi, I'm Marianne. I'm a student. I do inventory work, mostly in churches. I study material culture in historic communities. I translate.
Why do you do inventories?
Inventories, first and foremost, are records of what we present in a given place at a given time. For those who use them to reconstruct culture of history.
Yes. Well, what are you doing, what are you counting today?
Carreta wheels. I think everyone will someday want to put them in their front yards for decoration, so that they may have economic value. You have Carreta wheels all over your property, probably from Juan de Unate, the silver miner from Zacatecas when he came here.
Right. And to think that I was going to use them for firewood like that old ding-dong bandolier did with that old Indian. Suddenly from the shadows, the wise old woman, Myra, entered the room. She startled the group as she began lecturing them.
Women can take charge of all New Mexico. They already own a lot of the land. As Myra, the wise old woman, I command you, Senor Baramia, to start a restaurant right here on the property. You could do real good.
Real good, the startled Marianne, the student screamed.
Real good.
Hey, I've got a good idea, said Senor Barea Jaramilla. Let's get Ramona and her no-good boyfriend of hers in here, Alessandro. I want to start right now on this project. Let's get a good name. I mean, how about Pecos Trail Inn? Santa Fe Motel.
Remember, I translate. Why not give it something with class? An English translation of your rancho's name, La Cienega. That would be the swamp.
Perfect. Well, let's swing it a little. How about La Cienega del Pasado? The old swamp inn. Wait.
I'm the senora. Wait a minute. We could have drinks like they do at Chimayo. You know, the apple things. But can we serve them? We don't even have tables.
Entering the room, Ramona straightened her skirt, and she really had her good friend with her from the nearby village, Alessandro. They came into the room. Ramona says,
Alessandro, I have been walking out in the moonlight, and he gets inspiration from making arrowheads, which in the future will be called Clovis points. It will be debate as to the date and how and widespread they might have been. Alessandro will make arrowheads, and his artistry will be retaught to future Indians at Jemez. The story that I predict will be told in 2009 book called The Pueblo Revolt. Oh yeah, the revolt hasn't happened for another 35 years.
Enough of this shagging of Alessandro's point.
Okay, Pops, but I have an idea. Senor Dad, you want a drink to compete with a Chimayo cocktail? Well, let's use what all Spanish in Tijuana and Juarez drink.
Well, what's that?
The margarita.
Sure, but how will we serve it? In Chimayo, they serve it in those cute little glasses.
Well, we'll use the wheels of the Carreta for tables. We'll build 3 pillars equidistant in front of the storage shed. Put the wheels on top of those pillars for cocktail tables. Then put a piece of colored Mexican tile or serape on it, cover it with selenite, and we're in business.
Just then a traveler strode by. David said, I'm looking for a job. My name is David, and I need a job.
Great, said the senora. Oh, we will need someone to serve the drinks. Of course, for pay. We'll pay you under the table, as the habit is in this community.
An encomienda? A bribe? You can't do that. Pedro de Peralta just instructed in 1709, quote, inasmuch as